America's once again being thrown into an argument about cops and racial profiling. Once again, there are new versions every minute, tall tales and flat-out lies. At a time when America's talking about a prison break, there's another side of incarceration not getting enough attention, the side that sees young people dying with no trial. And he's the father of all liars, so the Bible tells us, and he's coming to prime time this fall with a show all his own. Is this worth protesting, or is the devil really in the details? Sharpen the verbal pitchforks and let's get to work. I'm Ed Berliner. This is Midpoint.
Everything could have been solved entirely way better than what it was. I mean, there were other officers that were actually nice to people.
Watching 30 seconds or 7 minutes of a clip, it doesn't tell the whole story.
The call is about cops failing in Texas, when in effect they may have been doing their job as trained. People in Cleveland deciding they need to take the law into their own hands when it likely has no chance of succeeding, and the people charged with your safety in the friendly skies finding a new and thrilling way to fail miserably. Top of the Tuesday news call. Let's welcome in the GOP communications strategist and principal at the Victory Group, Adam Goodman, along with the financial strategist, CNBC contributor, New York Times bestselling author, and still wondering how her Chicago Blackhawks could be down 2-1 in the Stanley Cup final to Tampa Bay, of all people, Carol Roth. I'll just leave it there. We thank you both for joining us. Carol, I love the smile on your face, and I know she wants to secretly kill me. Adam, I'm going to go ahead and start with you so Carol can simmer for just a moment. But let's get started here on Texas and get serious for a moment here. We've all seen this videotape that has been going around of what happened in Texas. Now we have protests there. I think what we heard in the soundbite coming in from the one gentleman is 30, 40 seconds of one tape does not really tell the entire story, does it?
It does, and unfortunately, the rest of the story includes a pattern where a number of events have been held at that pool, unauthorized events. They're controlled by a neighborhood or association. There were reports of confrontations and fights that were breaking out. Something had to be done basically to bring things under control. But, Ed, I think this is, in a way, a symptom of something that should really be disturbing for everybody, which is what I call a blueprint for sensationalism, where we are going out of our way to try to put a spotlight on situations like this, where the 30-second spot does not reveal what the whole movie is all about. And people get all kind of riled up. The footage in this case was very disturbing on the face of it. But what's more disturbing is we're now entering into a period of political correctness with our police departments around the country, where I think they're starting to worry about whether they're doing the right thing or the wrong time in situations where split-second decisions will make the difference between whether someone is going to be okay or not, and whether lives are saved. And I think that is something we have to address as a country.
Carol, I think that's fair to say in so many ways, because if you really dig deep into the story here and learn a little bit about what happened, what may have happened, the residents who were involved, the calls that were made, we have to then decide what has happened from here, and we then have to decide who's telling the truth. Now, the biggest issue here is finding out who's telling the truth. So we need to let this roll, but we then need to understand, Carol, that quite frankly, cops are a little bit concerned about what's happening these days. I'm told that Carol is not with us because we got a problem with her technically. So Adam, I'm going to come back to you. Where do we go from here at this moment now to decide what the truth is? And I guess I'm going to answer part of my own question here. Everybody needs to back off and wait, correct?
You put it right where it should be, Ed. The bottom line is we've got to find a way to let the process, as it sometimes can be maddeningly be, play out. Because if we don't, we're starting to take short stories and create bottom lines before courts of law get into the real issues of what happened. We all want to do the right thing. We all want to make sure that when something is wrong, that the wrong is righted. But this is not a way to get there. And this is one of the reasons, Ed, why people are starting to lose confidence in police, in the criminal justice system, and frankly, all of our institutions, as a lack of, might say, proper response or proper reactions or what perceived to be proper are starting to drive behavior and impressions that are not healthy for any of us.
Let's talk a little bit then about what's happening in Cleveland, because the Tamir Rice case is something that everybody's been following now for months. And then now is a group of community leaders who are seeking to take a very very rarely used part of the codicil here in Cleveland and in Ohio for them to go right to the don't wait for the prosecutor, go right to the judge, file the cases. That's what they want. It's not likely that they're going to succeed in this, and this almost smacks a little bit of some fear, because now you have people taking the law into their own hands without due process. That's frightening, no matter the color, who the person is, what the case is.
You know, it seems like we're in such a rush to get something right that we're willing to do something wrong. And I think in this case, I mean, they've been talking about vigilante justice. I can understand how that community and members of that community, many of them, are upset about you might say, the pace of the investigation and of the need to try to figure out what happened. But the grand jury process has been engaged. Proper investigations are underway, and people have been waiting to find out what bottom line has happened. The worst thing, and of course this was a tragedy as it turned out, as this young man was holding allegedly a not real gun that created an impression of mortal danger for those who are involved. But if that's the way this is going to roll, then basically the signal that community is sending to other communities around the country is, if you're frustrated, you don't like the way things are going, especially in the criminal justice system, take matters into your own hands.
Which is completely wrong to do. What we're talking about is here, stay with the judicial, and I understand, and you and I both know this, we've talked about this, that there's a lot of people right now who do not trust the judicial system. They don't trust law enforcement, but still it is the rule of law in the United States. You can't all of a sudden start to just decide yourself. We can't go back to frontier Western justice, no matter how much we might want to. Let's go ahead and move on. Again, Carol hopefully will rejoin us, but she's having all kinds of problems. We're having the technical issues, I believe. We're going to try and get her back. So, Adam, let's move on here. The TSA now failed to identify 73 workers linked to terrorism. It can't get any worse with this organization right now. The TSA may now be, in the minds of many people, the most bumbling governmental organization that we have seen in our lifetimes. They can't get anything right.
Well, you know, you might say TSA was fully brought into play after 9/11. They've been in play now at over, I guess, by the calendar, 13 years rather. And they still are learning a lot. As the game continues to change, and those who are wishing us ill continue to, like say, refine their approach and their potential methods to do just that. I don't know what the answer to this is, but an open, thorough, transparent investigation of what led to this is entirely necessary, because 73 people linked to terrorism that are on airport tarmacs is 73 too many.
Well, let me ask you this, Adam. Do you feel comfortable getting onto a plane right now?
Let's just say this. I've now decided to drive in the next 6 months across America, no matter where that may take me. It may be longer, but to me it's safer. No, it's obviously to have faith in airline security is paramount to a healthy economy as much as a healthy society. We've got to do something about this, and I can only imagine that TSA has not only taken this seriously, but they put it into overdrive, what they need to do to find out the information they clearly did not have.
Tell you what I'm going to do. I only got 60 seconds left, and Carol, I know you're back with us. We apologize for our technical difficulties here, and I want to give you the last 60 seconds to comment on the main story today. That is the protest over the Texas pool party policing here, and the fact that everybody needs to back off and stop falling for all of the lies and all of the additional incendiary that's out there. Would you agree?
I would mostly agree. I think it's become conflation nation, where we look at one event and we try to equate it with other events. I know you'll find this shocking, Ed, but I was a bit of a troublemaker when I was a teenager.
Shocking.
I know, it's amazing to find. And we had many encounters where the police had to come, break up parties when we weren't paying attention, weren't particularly nice to us. It happens across the country, and just because the situation was out of control, and there were probably some things that, from my perspective, the police drawing his gun, not a great thing. It doesn't make it a racially motivated situation, and I feel like we're just trying to fan the flames and push an agenda from some of these protesters who, on Twitter, there's a celebrity protester who said, "Hey, I recognize people in McKinney from here and here and here." So
already, it's all over Twitter, YouTube, everything else. Listen, I'm all out of time, but I do want to say to you that, yes, I had a little issue as well as a youngster, My dad said, shut up and do what the cops told you. I said, yes, Dad, and never asked again.
Yes,
Carol
sir.
Roth and Adam Goodman, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again soon. Midpoint will continue.